Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to share with you will fundamentally change how you approach every dream, every goal, every burning desire in your heart. There's a secret weapon that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, and it's not what you think. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even hard work alone. It's something far more powerful, yet so simple that most people completely overlook it. The moment you understand this principle, you'll realize why so many brilliant minds with incredible potential never achieve what they're capable of. Here's the shocking truth that will shake you to your core. Your mouth is your greatest enemy. Every time you announce your intentions, every time you broadcast your dreams to the world, you're unknowingly sabotaging your own success. You think you're gaining support, but you're actually bleeding energy. You believe you're building momentum, but you're creating resistance. You assume you're inspiring others, but you're inviting destruction. Napoleon Hill spent decades studying the habits of the most successful individuals in history, and he discovered something profound that most people never learn. The wealthy, the influential, the game changers all shared one common trait that had nothing to do with their circumstances or their backgrounds. They understood that silence isn't just golden, it's the foundation of all achievement. They knew that the moment you speak your vision into existence before it's ready, you give the world permission to kill it. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you shared an exciting goal with someone, only to walk away feeling somehow deflated? When was the last time you announced a big plan, only to find yourself facing unexpected obstacles and doubts that weren't there before? This isn't coincidence. This is the universe responding to your premature revelation. You opened a door that should have remained closed. Scripture teaches us in Ecclesiastes that there is a time for everything under heaven, including a time to speak and a time to remain silent. The wise understand that premature words are like seeds thrown on rocky ground. They cannot take root. But when you nurture your dreams in the fertile soil of silence, they grow strong enough to withstand any storm. The most powerful prayer is often the one spoken in the quiet chambers of your heart, where only God can hear. Every successful person I've studied follows this pattern without exception. They conceive their vision in private, they develop it in solitude, and they execute it without fanfare. Only when the results are undeniable do they step into the spotlight. This isn't about being secretive for the sake of mystery. This is about understanding a fundamental law of achievement that most people violate every single day. Your energy is finite. Every conversation about what you're going to do is energy that could have been invested in actually doing it. Every explanation you give is focus that could have been channeled into execution. Every justification you offer is power that could have been used to create results. The most successful people guard their energy like a precious resource because they know that scattered energy produces scattered results. Consider the greatest achievements in human history. Were they announced beforehand with great fanfare? Did the Wright brothers hold press conferences about their flying machine before it worked? Did Edison broadcast his light bulb experiments to the world before he perfected them? Did Henry Ford tell everyone about his assembly line concept before he implemented it? Absolutely not. They understood that revolutionary ideas need protection, not publicity. The moment you speak your dream, you invite the opinions of people who don't share your vision, don't understand your journey, and often don't want to see you succeed. You think you're seeking encouragement, but you're actually opening yourself to discouragement. You believe you're looking for support, but you're creating opportunities for sabotage. The harsh reality is that most people are more comfortable with your struggle than they are with your success. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized the power of the mastermind principle, but he also warned about the danger of revealing your plans to the wrong people. He understood that your inner circle should consist of those who are already achieving at the level you're striving for, not those who are still making excuses for their own lack of progress. The moment you share your vision with someone who hasn't achieved what you're pursuing, you're asking a blind person to guide you to a destination they've never seen. There's something deeply satisfying about talking about our plans. It gives us a temporary high, a false sense of accomplishment, a counterfeit feeling of progress. But here's what's really happening in that moment. You're tricking your brain into thinking you've already taken action when you've done nothing but move your mouth. Neuroscience has proven that when we talk about our goals, our brain releases the same chemicals as when we actually work toward them. This means that talking about your dreams literally reduces your motivation to pursue them. The Bible warns us in Proverbs that even a fool appears wise when he keeps his mouth shut. Yet we live in a culture that celebrates oversharing, that rewards people for broadcasting every thought and intention to the world. Social media has turned goal setting into performance art, where people announce their fitness journeys, business ventures, and life changes for likes and comments rather than results. But likes don't build businesses, comments don't create wealth, and social media validation doesn't manifest dreams into reality. Every time you reveal your strategy, you give your competition an advantage. Every time you expose your timeline, you invite interference. Every time you share your methods, you open yourself to copying, criticism, and sabotage. The art of war teaches us that the element of surprise is often the determining factor between victory and defeat. When your enemies don't know your moves, they can't counter them. When they can't see your preparation, they can't disrupt it. Napoleon Hill discovered through his research that the most successful individuals developed what he called controlled attention. This is the ability to focus your mental energy on a specific objective without distraction or deviation. But controlled attention becomes impossible when you're constantly explaining yourself to others, defending your choices, or justifying your methods. Every conversation about your plans is a break in your controlled attention, a crack in your focus, a leak in your mental energy. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. When he shared his dreams with his brothers, what happened? They became jealous and eventually sold him into slavery. His premature revelation nearly destroyed him. It was only when he learned to interpret dreams for others while keeping his own counsel that he rose to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. The lesson is clear. Guard your vision until it's strong enough to defend itself. The greatest entrepreneurs understand this principle intuitively. They develop their products in secret. They build their teams quietly. They establish their market position before anyone realizes what's happening. By the time the world notices what they've created, it's too late for competitors to respond effectively. They've already won the game before most people knew it was being played. Here's what most people don't understand about human psychology. People are far more likely to support you after you've succeeded than while you're struggling. When you're in the building phase, when you're facing obstacles and setbacks, when you're learning and growing, most people can't envision your success. But when you emerge with undeniable results, suddenly everyone wants to be associated with your victory. This is why it's crucial to do your suffering in private and your celebrating in public. Every master craftsman works alone. Every artist creates in solitude. Every inventor develops in isolation. This isn't antisocial behavior, it's professional behavior. It's the understanding that excellence requires uninterrupted focus, and uninterrupted focus requires protection from outside interference. The moment you invite the world into your workshop, you invite chaos into your creativity. Your dreams are sacred. They were placed in your heart for a reason, and that reason doesn't include public approval or external validation. When God gives you a vision, He gives it to you specifically because He knows you have the capacity to make it real. But that capacity can be diminished if you allow others to plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation in your mind. Protect your dreams like you would protect your children because, in many ways, that's exactly what they are. Before I continue, I want to share something with you. If this message is resonating with your spirit, if you're feeling that deep recognition that comes when truth touches your soul, then you're part of a special group of people who understand that success isn't about noise, it's about focus. I don't ask you to subscribe to this channel because I need the numbers. I ask you because I believe you need these truths. And I want to make sure you don't miss a single message that could transform your life. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a community of silent warriors who understand that real power moves in stillness. And if this is helping you see your situation differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is a new perspective on an old problem. There's a profound difference between those who announce their intentions and those who demonstrate their results. The announcers live in a world of perpetual preparation, constantly talking about what they're going to do while never quite getting around to doing it. The demonstrators live in a world of quiet execution, constantly building while the world remains unaware of their progress. Which category do you belong to? Napoleon Hill called this the difference between wishes and burning desire. A wish is something you talk about, something you hope for, something you share with others for sympathy or encouragement. A burning desire is something you pursue with such intensity that you don't have time or energy to discuss it with anyone who isn't directly helping you achieve it. When you have a burning desire, talking about it feels like a waste of precious time that could be spent working toward it. The most successful people in any field understand that preparation is invisible, but results are undeniable. They know that while others are busy explaining why they can't, they need to be busy demonstrating that they can. They understand that the world doesn't pay attention to your process, it only rewards your progress. This is why they invest their energy in execution rather than explanation. Think about the parable of the talents in Matthew's Gospel. The servants who were praised weren't the ones who talked about what they planned to do with their money. They were the ones who went out immediately and put their talents to work. They understood that opportunity has an expiration date, that momentum must be captured and channeled, that success requires immediate action rather than prolonged discussion. Here's something that might surprise you. The most confident people are often the quietest about their plans. This isn't because they lack conviction. It's because their conviction is so strong that they don't need external validation to maintain it. They've learned to trust their own judgment, to rely on their own assessment, to move forward based on their own understanding rather than the approval of others. When you work in silence, you eliminate the noise that creates doubt. When you eliminate doubt, you strengthen faith. When you strengthen faith, you increase persistence. When you increase persistence, you guarantee eventual success. This is the invisible chain of causation that connects silence to achievement, and it's why the greatest achievers in history have always been masters of quiet confidence. The world is full of people who will tell you what you can't do, what won't work, why you're not qualified, why the timing is wrong, why the market isn't ready, why you need more experience, more education, more resources. But here's the truth that Napoleon Hill discovered. The people who tell you what's impossible are usually the ones who have never tried to make the impossible possible. They're speaking from a position of limitation, not possibility. Every breakthrough in human history was once considered impossible by the masses. Every innovation was once dismissed as impractical by the experts. Every revolutionary idea was once ridiculed by those who couldn't see beyond their current circumstances. If the Wright brothers had listened to the experts, we'd still be traveling by horse and buggy. If Edison had accepted the conventional wisdom, we'd still be reading by candlelight. If Henry Ford had followed popular opinion, cars would still be luxury items for the wealthy. The reason these pioneers succeeded wasn't because they had more talent than their critics. It wasn't because they had better circumstances or more resources. It was because they understood that innovation requires isolation from limitation. They knew that breakthrough thinking requires protection from breakthrough prevention. They realized that revolutionary results require revolutionary discipline, and revolutionary discipline includes the discipline of silence. When you keep your plans private, you maintain the purity of your vision. You're not constantly adjusting your strategy based on other people's fears, limitations, or lack of understanding. You're not diluting your conviction with their doubt. You're not slowing your progress to match their pace. You're free to move at the speed of your own ambition, to think at the level of your own possibility, to act according to your own understanding. This doesn't mean you should never seek advice or guidance. It means you should be extremely selective about who has access to your dreams, and equally selective about whose opinions you allow to influence your decisions. Seek counsel from those who have achieved what you're pursuing, not from those who are still struggling with what you're leaving behind. Remember that your reputation is built on results, not intentions. The world doesn't remember what you said you were going to do. It remembers what you actually did. History is written by those who finished, not by those who started. Legacy is created by those who delivered, not by those who promised. This is why your focus should always be on execution rather than explanation. Let me tell you about the most powerful force in the universe: concentrated action performed in silence. When you combine unwavering focus with consistent effort, when you add disciplined execution to burning desire, when you multiply persistence by faith, you create an unstoppable momentum that breaks through every barrier and overcomes every obstacle. This is the formula that Napoleon Hill discovered in his decades of research, and it's available to anyone willing to embrace the discipline of silent achievement. The Bible teaches us that faith without works is dead, but it also shows us that the most powerful works are often performed away from the crowd. Jesus himself often withdrew to quiet places to pray, to think, to prepare for the challenges ahead. He understood that public ministry required private preparation, that visible miracles emerged from invisible discipline, that lasting impact came from sustained focus rather than momentary attention. Every master understands this principle. The greatest musicians practice alone. The finest athletes train in isolation. The most successful entrepreneurs build in private. They know that excellence is forged in the furnace of solitude, shaped by the hammer of discipline and refined by the fire of persistent effort. What the world sees as overnight success is actually the result of countless hours of invisible preparation. There's something magical that happens when you stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing it. Your energy shifts from external to internal. Your focus moves from impression to implementation. Your motivation transforms from seeking approval to creating results. This shift is so powerful that you'll actually feel it happening. The moment you stop explaining and start executing, you'll discover a level of clarity and purpose you never knew existed. Napoleon Hill wrote about the power of autosuggestion, the practice of feeding your subconscious mind with clear, definite instructions about what you want to achieve. But autosuggestion becomes infinitely more powerful when it's not diluted by the constant chatter of explanation and justification. When your internal dialogue is focused on solutions rather than explanations, on progress rather than permission, on results rather than recognition, your subconscious mind becomes a powerful ally in your pursuit of success. The greatest achievers in history understood that success is an inside job. It begins with a clear vision. It's sustained by unwavering faith. It's implemented through disciplined action, and it's completed through persistent effort. None of these elements require public disclosure or external validation. In fact, they're often hindered by premature exposure to outside opinions and influences. When you work in silence, you develop what I call result confidence. This is different from the false confidence that comes from talking about your plans, or the temporary confidence that comes from initial enthusiasm. Result confidence is the unshakable conviction that comes from seeing your vision gradually become reality through your own efforts. It's the confidence that grows with each small victory, strengthens with each obstacle overcome, and solidifies with each goal achieved. Here's what most people don't realize. The people who eventually celebrate your success are often the same ones who would have discouraged your efforts if they had known about them early on. This isn't because they're malicious. It's because most people can't envision what doesn't yet exist. They can't see potential. They can only see current reality. They can't imagine breakthrough. They can only see breakdown. This is why your dreams need protection during their most vulnerable stages. The pathway from vision to reality is rarely smooth or straight. There will be setbacks, obstacles, failures, and disappointments. There will be moments when you question your sanity, your ability, your worthiness. In these moments, the last thing you need is a chorus of voices reminding you of how difficult your goal is, how many people have failed attempting similar things, or how maybe you should consider a more realistic approach. What you need in these moments is quiet determination and unwavering focus. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback when you're working in silence. Every failure becomes education when you're focused on learning rather than explaining. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity when you're committed to growth rather than appearances. This is the mindset that separates those who eventually succeed from those who eventually surrender. The beautiful thing about working in silence is that it forces you to become self-reliant. You can't depend on external motivation when no one knows what you're doing. You can't rely on public accountability when your goals are private. You can't lean on social support when your journey is solitary. You have to develop internal strength, personal discipline, and self-generated motivation. These qualities become the foundation of not just this achievement, but every achievement that follows. Before we reach the end of this journey together, I want to say something from my heart. If you've made it this far, if these words have spoken to something deep within you, then I know you're someone special. You're someone who understands that real strength isn't about making noise. It's about making progress. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to this channel, not because I need you to, but because I believe you need what we're building here. This is more than content. It's a community of people who understand that the greatest victories are won in silence and celebrated in success. I want to hear your story. I want to know how these principles are working in your life. Share your thoughts in the comments, but more than that, tell us what topics you'd like us to explore together. What challenges are you facing? What dreams are you pursuing? What truths do you need to hear? Your input helps us create content that truly serves you. The world is divided into two types of people: those who make noise without making progress, and those who make progress without making noise. The first group lives in a constant state of announcement, explanation, and justification. They're always talking about what they're going to do, what they're planning to do, what they hope to do. The second group lives in a constant state of action, execution, and achievement. They're always doing what others are talking about doing. Which group do you belong to? More importantly, which group do you want to belong to? The choice is yours, and it starts with the decision to close your mouth and open your opportunity. It begins with the commitment to stop explaining and start executing. It commences with the understanding that your words have power, and you need to stop wasting that power on empty conversations and start investing it in meaningful creation. Napoleon Hill's research revealed that every successful person he studied had developed what he called definiteness of purpose. This isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about pursuing what you want with such focus and intensity that you don't have time for distractions, including the distraction of constantly talking about it. When your purpose is definite, your actions become definite. When your actions are definite, your results become inevitable. The great tragedy of most people's lives isn't that they lack talent, opportunity, or resources. It's that they waste their most precious asset, their focused attention, on activities that don't contribute to their success. Talking about your goals feels productive, but it's actually counterproductive. It creates the illusion of progress without the reality of advancement. Scripture reminds us that life and death are in the power of the tongue. You can speak life into your dreams by keeping them sacred and protected, or you can speak death into them by exposing them to the wrong audiences at the wrong times. The choice is always yours, and the consequences are always real. The silent revolution begins when you decide that your energy is too valuable to waste on explanations. Your time is too precious to spend on justifications, and your dreams are too important to risk on other people's limitations. It starts when you understand that the most powerful statement you can make is not a verbal one, but a visual one. Show the world what you can do rather than telling them what you plan to do. Every day, you have a choice. You can join the millions of people who talk about their dreams, or you can join the thousands who achieve them. You can be part of the crowd that explains why they can't, or you can be part of the elite group that demonstrates that they can. You can live in the world of intention, or you can live in the world of implementation. The path of the silent achiever isn't easy, but it's infinitely more rewarding than the path of the vocal dreamer. It requires discipline when others choose comfort. It demands focus when others choose distraction. It insists on action when others choose explanation. But the rewards are worth every sacrifice. The satisfaction of turning vision into reality, the confidence that comes from proven ability, the respect that results from undeniable achievement. Your future self is watching you right now, wondering what choice you're going to make. Will you continue to leak your power through endless conversations about what you're going to do? Or will you finally harness that power and channel it into actually doing what you've been talking about? Will you keep seeking permission from people who don't have the authority to grant it? Or will you finally give yourself permission to pursue your dreams without external approval? The silent revolution doesn't start with a declaration. It starts with a decision. The decision to stop talking and start walking. The decision to stop explaining and start executing. The decision to stop seeking approval and start creating results. This decision doesn't require anyone else's permission, participation, or approval. It only requires your commitment. Remember that success leaves clues, and the biggest clue is this: the most successful people in any field are rarely the most vocal about their plans. They're too busy implementing to spend time explaining. They're too focused on creating to waste energy on conversations. They understand that the world pays attention to results, not intentions, and they direct their efforts accordingly. The time for talking is over. The time for action has begun. Your dreams have been patient long enough. Your goals have waited long enough. Your potential has been dormant long enough. It's time to wake up the sleeping giant within you, not with words, but with works. Not with promises, but with progress. Not with explanations, but with execution. The silent revolution starts now, and it starts with you. No fanfare, no announcement, no grand declaration. Just the quiet determination to turn your vision into reality through consistent, focused, disciplined action. The world is waiting to see what you can create when you stop telling them what you're going to create and start showing them what you've already created. Your legacy won't be written in the words you spoke about your dreams. It will be written in the dreams you turned into reality through the power of silent execution. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Start your silent revolution today.